Welcome to the Dice Tower, a series of video reviews about board and card games. Here are your hosts.
Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Chris Yee.
And I'm Wendy Yee.
Today we're taking a look at a game called Plant It from Phil Walker Harding, a game of nature and nurture. I really hate stupid taglines like that.
It's nature and you nurture the plants, Tom.
I thought you
If
natured
you
the
defend
plants.
the tagline, I hate it more.
I don't really care for it. It's okay.
That's fine. I
See, it says nature on the box.
stolen from Plant It. Anyway, this is a fairly short game. It is a drafting game in which you are building up your own plants in your house, I think.
I guess so.
Yeah,
You
it's
have
a little
house
nursery.
plants.
It's a little nursery you have.
I have like 2 in my house.
Plants?
Yeah.
Like real ones?
Yeah.
Do you
You guys
water them and feed them and so
Well,
forth?
I don't do anything. They're just in
Okay.
my house.
Oh, I see.
Well, I currently have 0 plants in my house.
All right. Well, let's talk about how the game plays. Wendy will show us, and we'll be right back.
Plant It is a drafting game for 2 to 5 players where you're going to be building up your own nursery in front of you. Now, this is a tableau of cards. You're going to be building this tableau by drafting cards across 4 rounds. Each round consists of 8 cards or 8 turns, where you will be simultaneously revealing the cards that you choose and then passing those hands along. As you draft cards throughout each round of the game, you're going to draft cards like tools, decorations, and resources. Now, tools sit right down underneath your tableau here, and they give you extra benefits. For example, that one gives you the benefit of an extra light every time that you draft a 2-light card. Now, you also have ones that are decorations. This decoration gives you 1 point for each tool card that you own. These are just endgame points, and they'll sit down there until the very end. The rest of these are resource cards. You have 3 main resources: plant food, light, and water. And then there's a wild resource called Thumbs Up. For every 2 thumbs up that you have, you get to gain a wild resource of your choice, and you can use it wherever you want. Now, if you don't want to draft any of these cards, or you just want to grow your nursery, you can say nursery, and then you can discard a card, and then in player order, you can draft cards from up here, add them to your nursery, and then refill as you go. You can only hold up to 6 cards though, so make sure that you draft cards that you want to keep, because once they're there, they're there. At the end of each round, when the drafting is concluded, it is time to feed our plants. To feed plants, we have to have all the resources at the bottom. For example, I have 3 water droplets here, so I can successfully feed this plant. I cover up these victory points that will then score at the end of the game. However, these plants over here, I do not have enough. Now, these ones I have almost enough, but I still can't quite feed it. So what will happen is these resources will disappear at the end of the round. The only way that I can spend them is for every 2 resources, I can gain a single point over here for my propagation plants. These are gone. If I had anything else left over at the end of the round, they would also be gone. After 4 rounds of drafting and feeding plants, we will then count up points. Points are based on all of the numbers that you've covered up on your plants for feeding them, as well as any bonus points that you gain from decorations. The player with the most points at the end of the game is the best at growing plants, and they are the winner.
All right, it says 20 to 30 minutes on the box. I think that might be pushing the short end of it. I think it's more like 30 to 45.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, it's
Unless you're
4
drafting
rounds.
and throwing the cards.
You're
And
going
it's
really
4
quickly.
rounds, right? So you're drafting 8 cards in each. You could do it, especially considering a lot of those cards are just like water. Water. You
Yeah,
gotta
but
get
then you
into water.
pause and then you say, you know, if anyone's taking the things in the middle.
Yeah.
No.
But that
You don't
can go
pause.
really
You
quickly.
yell, nursery!
Yeah.
That I think can go really quickly if you know the game.
Any game, though, can play it fast. I'm saying it won't. I'm saying it
I
straight
think
up won't
30
be
to
that
45
fast.
sounds
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
30 to 45, which is fine, though. It is a little, quick card drafting game. I think 4 rounds feels right.
Agree.
Yes.
I agree on that, yeah.
We very rarely actually talk about cost proposition, because how much a game is worth to you is how much a game is worth to you.
Right.
Sure.
We only mention it when it's egregious or pretty good. I'm only mentioning here because I think it's pretty good. I think for the cost that this game is, which when we got the game, it was $30.
Yeah, the
And
MSRP is 30, right?
Yeah.
Now that could change by the time you watch this or whatever, but that combined with the components in here, I was pretty impressed. This felt like a almost deluxe version of a Kickstarter.
It really did. those sun pieces and the water tokens.
And deluxe in the way of everything is usable. It's easy to grab, but it's not unwieldy. The components are just nice. They come in little bags, those kind of those type of cloth bags. It feels like it's very thoughtfully produced, and that's what I like about it a lot. Very thoughtful.
Yeah, I agree with that, and the even the board with the way it's laid out, the usability of the reminders on your player board, the locations of cards and decks and discards. It feels, thoughtful is a good word for it. It feels purposeful. I really like the components. Those little baggies are completely extraneous, but they're a nice touch. My only issue here would be the card quality, which I think is just a Buffalo Games thing. The card quality could be better. They are a little sticky.
Well, I do know
what I mean?
that increasing card quality does raise the cost considerably.
Right.
I know that it's, for some reason, those linen finish cards, they just cost a lot more, which is why that's a corner a lot of companies cut. But at least the artwork's fantastic, and you're not really shuffling the cards much. You are drafting them and passing them around, so I think they'll last a decent amount of time anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm not worried about the durability necessarily, just kind of like shuffle feel of the cards, I think is a little weak, but it's also inexpensive.
All right, so the game itself is drafting.
Yes.
Take some cards, pass them around. I think that's a mechanism we all like. I know that if I hear drafting in a game, I kind of already like it to some degree.
Because of the simultaneous nature of it, it keeps things snappy.
Yeah, you're
some-
always on.
Yeah, right,
doing
and there's
something.
something just neat about those decisions you have to make when you get a hand and there's 3 cards you want. And you go, will one of these come back to me? Which one do I play now? Which one do I maybe get later? I think drafting's great.
I do feel like the cards in the first round versus the fourth round don't all have the same weight. I feel at the beginning you have that real choice of, do I want to start getting resources? Do I want to build my engine a little bit with those tools? But then towards the end of the game, those tools are basically useless. Like, you're not going to invest in engine building in the last round.
That's exactly what I was going to
so
say.
I feel like those almost shouldn't be there that last turn.
That's my one negative about this game. I feel almost like there should be. You have to shuffle the cards in a 4-player game at some point to redraft them out. I think. Right.
Yeah.
At that
halfway
point,
through.
tools would be out for me. At the shuffle point, the tools would not go back in the deck because you don't want them on the last turn. They get worse as time goes by.
Right.
I almost wish that, like, the tools, they would have. There's a couple ways I would have fixed it: having an A/B deck, or having the tools say it's a tool or a resource. You know what I mean? So at the end of the game,
Oh, so you can choose to play it as either.
right? It might just be one resource of something. But I hate I don't like anything in a game where I have to take an action and nothing happens.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with those at the end. That's a minor thing. It only matters. It only affects you really on the last turn or so. And even then, it might not, because you might have taken something that gives you points for tools.
Right.
But you might not have
Or if you need that final plant for some scoring card, and you
Yeah.
can trade it in for a plant or something
just-
like that. But
I didn't find it to be a problem because, mainly because, well, it didn't bother me, but also I don't think the extra rules are worth the effort, are worth the savings, the gains.
but if, like I said, if you put that it's a resource, then that's not hard. That's not an extra
No.
rule. It's one of two things.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess,
That one I don't dislike. That
Yeah.
would be an elegant solution.
Right.
I would actually do that each tool, or actually I would say that every card you can discard and take a green thumb, which is half a resource.
Okay, I see that. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
literally any card you want, you can just chuck it and get a green thumb.
Yeah, I'd agree that there's not a lot of complaints about the game, though, because you just keep playing it really smooth. That was like the one thing I noticed. I thought, oh man, it's the last round, darn. But if I've set myself up right, you got points for tools, the last time we played, and so you just kept taking them when no one else wanted them. So you have to kind of work towards it, but I don't mind that. I don't mind the fact that first time you play a game, you might say, oh darn, I set myself up bad for this inevitable point of the game, and then you'll just kind of approach it differently.
Right.
I think that, I don't know, I don't mind that. And I love the idea of either play the card for what it is, or you discard it. You yell nursery, which I don't know if we'll continue to do that, but you can grab the plants. I think that's a good alternate use for those cards as well. And so there is kind of a built-in alternate thing to do with it, like Wendy mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a game that's going to reward multiple plays, which I think is pretty impressive for an intro game. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
you learn the resources. You think, oh, thumbs, wow, it's amazing. Well, maybe you need 2 of them, and that discarding at the end, you know,
So
stuff.
you lose your resources every
Right.
round.
That's something that people might not be used to. You know, that's kind of a new concept for a lot of folks. But my favorite thing about this is I thought the theme was fantastic. The plants all being very different. They didn't use the same 3 plants throughout the whole
They're
game.
all
and the
different, all the
resources needed
artwork.
for those plants felt like they went with those plants. You don't
Yeah.
need tons of water for cactuses.
There's just there's a charming simplicity to this, and the charming part really is dialed up. The look, the vibe, I mean, just the setting, the pleasant sort of nature. I find drafting to be, while momentarily tense as you decide something, it's like a little blip where you go, you do, oh no, I don't know. There's just something very pleasant about drafting.
Put that quote on the box.
If you can spell it.
A-H-H.
I like this one because that theme really does tie into that emotional sort of headspace. It's enjoyable. It is almost a soothing kind of game, and thematically that fits.
All right, so what are your
Yeah, that's
final
fair.
thoughts and rating?
All right, my final thoughts are I really enjoy Planted. I think that there's a lot of good stuff going on here. I think it's beautiful and all that jazz, and I think it's very clean and soothing as well. When I think about the other Phil Walker Harding games that I love, this doesn't meet that. It doesn't have as interesting set collection as with like Sushi Go Party and that kind of stuff, and it doesn't have there's no like puzzle challenge or anything that like gets my brain really working like something like Barren Park. And so I'm giving this an 8 because I feel like it's not quite up there with the games of his that I really love, but it's still a fabulous game.
Okay. I thought you were going lower
Yeah,
than
I
that
was
with the words
definitely
you
not-
said.
I was not expecting an 8 on that one.
Okay.
It doesn't,
All right.
it
It's
doesn't
just-
have
it's
a
not
physical
quite-
puzzle, but what it does have, you're enjoying.
I
Is
do
what you're
really,
saying.
yeah, I do still
here,
really
I'll-
enjoy.
I'll go next if you don't mind. Because
Oh,
I'm also giving it an 8.
Okay.
But my argument would be like the exact opposite. I'm like, my argument, I'm going to like push it up to an 8, kind of. And you were
Okay.
like, it sounded like you were dragging the game down by your explanation and then gave it
Because
an 8.
the other ones I give like
'Cause you
8.5
love
or
this
9 'cause
designer
I love,
also.
Yeah.
For me, I think it really nails the target audience it's going for. And that's no pun intended there. It's a target.
Thanks for explaining that one.
So I think it's just a great, largely introductory card drafting game. Is it like Sushi Go? It's kind of Sushi Go-esque, which is from the same designer, has been out before, also could be an introductory game. Doesn't have this theme. I really like the theme. I like the presentation, the pieces, the entire package here. And I really enjoy the game. But it's even better if this is your way into nature-themed games and card drafting and beautiful components that you can get now in board gaming that maybe you're not used to. It's even better if you're someone coming to it from that background.
It's interesting because Chris and I were talking about this. We almost wish that we had a rating that was like rating for people for who this game is for versus our rating.
And
Yeah.
so,
You know, because I would give this a higher score if I were that intro gamer.
And so I'll go next with my score. Keep cutting you off. Because I'm also giving this game an 8. And it's for
This cat.
it's for that reason, right? If we could separate 2 different scores, like, hey, you think you might like this game? For you, this very well could be like a 9. You know, you say, wow, this sounds intriguing. I've never seen this mechanism before. I've never seen a game that's produced like this, that looks this gorgeous and stuff. This could go way higher, but for me and my taste, it's an 8 because it's a great game. It's smooth, it's enjoyable. I think that the same designer has done a few games that are maybe a touch smoother. It's not that it's not smooth, but even, just a little bit more elegant. And so an 8 is where I fall. I really enjoy it, highly recommend it. And if this sounds unique and original to you, I bet that you will have a fun, unique experience with it.
That's interesting that you do say that he's done smoother games. I'm sure he has, but I don't know if that's what I would put up front. He's just done games that are more mentally stimulating. this is not really gonna
Yeah, I
give
think
you
I
that.
would use-
you know what
I
I
would
mean?
think I would use
but
that term
smooth.
for it, yeah.
It's very smooth.
It's very smooth.
It's just the challenge of the mind, the sort of firing neurons, doesn't run as deep as some of his other stuff, right?
Okay.
That's kind of why I sort of say, intro gamers, you're really gonna like this. Because you don't need that, right? You're not like expecting it. You didn't come from Ark Nova and go, this isn't challenging me. You don't need that.
Tom did though, so we want to know
Can I
Tom's
go
score.
now?
Okay, so here's my revised rating, yeah?
Now, I hate the game, obviously. I'm only giving it a 7.5.
Oh, you're a monster.
And yet I feel like I like it as much as everyone here. But I think this is a fine game. I think it's not on the par of Sushi Go. Even the same.
So you don't like it as much as that, okay.
I don't, but it's the same audience, really. This one's a little more thoughtful than Sushi Go. Sushi Go's you just grab a card and take it, and then you score sets. It's not any more complex than that. Yes, you can argue that it's not. You just grab a card. Oh, I got points. This one, you're getting resources to build up for something. There's a 2-step process, and this will be more challenging for some people. But I like it. I find it fun to play. I enjoy collecting this stuff. I don't always need to play heavy style games, and I like this one a lot. So, my garbage rating of 7.5. Anyway, that's Planted. We recommend it. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia.
I'm Chris Yee.
And I'm Wendy Yee.
Have fun with your green thumbs.